So today we're playing solo Empires of the North, and we are using the Viking faction, these guys right here. We're going to be playing the first scenario, Winter is Coming. That is this one, so we take 3 additional apple resources shown on the basic field cards. We can spend 2 workers to gain a fish, and that can be activated the number of times. Scoring, we need to feed each of the workers we have with either an apple or a fish. These are the scenario effects. And we also have Buried Pantry, which is an action we can use once per round, and that is spending a stone, an apple, and a fish to gain 4 victory points. So we need to get 30 victory points. That's what we got to do. We have 4 rounds to do it, and this is basically the setup. We have, as I say, the dial up there, 5 workers, 2 ships. Then we have our basic resources, which is basically our starter village, hamlet type thing, and we've got to build the cards, build up a massive town, city, whatever you want to call it. Again, victory points. The victory points are up there. And explore lands and do other things that I'll get into as we actually start playing. But first off, we need to give ourselves 3 apples. So I'll keep resources up there just to keep them out of the way, keep the workers there. Yeah, I might have to move the camera around during this one. It won't be shaky camera or anything like that, it'll be static, but I might have to do different scenes because this thing here is going to grow exponentially, the city basically, as we start placing cards and bringing more into our village. So these are the first 5 cards we start with, and we have to get rid of 2 of them. We can only have 3. So I'm going to keep the watchtower, I'm going to keep the Priest of Thor, and I'm going to keep the hunting trophies. Getting rid of this second Priest of Thor we have no need for. And the quick raid, as that could be useful, but there's 3 of them in the deck. That's what that symbol means right there. And so usually they pop up quite often. So the game starts with us every round drawing 4 cards. This is called the lookout phase. And as you can see, we've got 2 offerings, so there's literally no need in keeping that one. Then we'll keep that offering. I think we'll keep the guardhouse, which you need to construct to build. We'll talk more about that in future. And then we have the twin ships. Now, you can do 2 things. You can either pillage or you can conquer. I think I'm going to be conquering more than I'm going to be pillaging. So I'm going to get rid of that one, and that is one that you shouldn't really be getting rid of if you don't want to do it, because it's only 1 card in the deck, and that is now going to the bottom of the deck. But because we've took 2 cards from this round, we have to spend 2 workers, so the workers just move over to that spent worker card. So now, during the actual phases, we've only got 3 workers to work with. So this is our starting deck. We got an offering, we got a guardhouse, a watchtower, Priest of Thor, and hunting trophies. And as you notice, there is things in the top that you need to use to build them. And we don't have access to any stone at the moment. So we need to be a bit careful with that one, but we can still construct them because there is a construct tile on that we'll be talking about in a bit. But first off, we need to get our 5 and pick a random number, so as we see what happens to basically our scenario effect. So we take these 5 little tokens here. You can put them in a bag or anything else like that. I am going to give them a right good shuffle though, then pick one at random, and I've got number 2. So number 2 on here says, feed the travellers. You may spend a fish or an apple to gain 2 gold coins. Yeah, I think I actually want to do that. So I'm going to spend an apple because I want to keep my fish for now. I'm going to spend an apple to gain 2 gold coins. So that's a really good effect for us because the gold coins are basically like, can be anything. They can be apples, wood, fish, sheep, or stone, basically. That's what the gold coins can represent. So that is a really good resource to have. We got lucky with that one. But let's start our actual round now, our first round. And the first thing I want to do is I want to construct this guardhouse. It says I need to construct a build. So we go over to this here. And there's 5 things on there. There's explore, which is draw a card. Populate, which is add a worker. Harvest, which is gain resources from any of our tiles. Sail, which is sailing. And construct, which is you can build any card for free. So any of the resources that are in this top left hand corner, you don't have to spend anything. So all we do is take one of our red little markers and place it on the construct. So just like that. And we've got 2 of them. So obviously we can do 2 things, but we can also use an apple to flip it over to one adjacent. So if I went and spent an apple, I could go sailing or I could populate from that position. But anyway, now we've done that, we just take this, place it in our town. We've just built our village. We've just built a little thing up there, and then we gain this. So we gain ourselves 2 axes. Next thing I want to do is I want to get this offering in play, and the reason I want to do that is because whenever we spend 3 different resources, we gain 3 victory points, 3 stars. That is a really good effect to help us out with gaining that. And with our buried pantry, we can do every round, but only once. We can spend 3 resources. And so this is a cracking combination. Spend 3 resources, gain 4. Spend 3 resources, gain 3. That is 7 VP every turn, so long as we can basically do it. So that is a massive investment for us to be looking at, because obviously that will be then 28 points in itself. And so we only need 30 to win the game. And so, yeah, as you can see, very, very good. We don't have the resources to actually build this. So we do have to spend our other token on construct once again and then place it into our village. Just like that. So before anything else, I want to use the buried pantry right away, and to say we've used it, I'll just place the first player marker just on it to say that it's used. But we're going to use one of the gold coins, one of the apples, and our fish to basically gain 4 victory points. And then we will tap this card right here because we spent 3 resources, and that means we gain 3 victory points right there. That's 7 VPs we've just earned. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build the hunting trophies. I've got to spend 2 wood to build it. I have 2 wood right there. And so we'll just place this in our little deck right here and remove the 2 wood. Next thing I'm going to do is use the hunting trophies. So I need to spend a worker. I've got 3 right there doing nothing. So we just place it on that pile right there. And then I can either gain one of the axes or I can gain a fish and a victory point. At this moment in time, I don't really need any more axes, but I might need a fish in future. So I am going to gain a fish and then push us up to 8 victory points. Next, I'll be doing 2 actions at once because I'm going to use both of the apples, and that means that I'm going to be able to flip those markers over because that's what we can do right there. As long as this is adjacent, we have to flip it over to make an X sign because we can't do it ever again. But we're going to set sail with both of them, both of our ships, and we are going to be placing the 2 conquer markers on our ships, and it'll just be placed on the board there. Because I'm playing solo, it do have to be neat as long as we sort of get the gist of what I'm actually doing. That's all that matters. So, we've got no way of getting these cards into play. We need 2 wood for that one, 2 rock for that one, 2 stone, and we need 1 wood. We could get that in, but this is only a building bonus. We need 1 star for each of your conquered islands, so we could get a star for everything we conquer, basically. That's why I chucked the other card out, because that one could mean more victory points over time near the end of the game if we play it last round. And we only go up to 4 rounds in solo play. But that is our first round done. So we go into now the sailing phase. And what we're going to do, because we haven't spent a fish, we cannot conquer the distant islands. We're just going to conquer both of the closest islands possible. That is these pair, Drunken Octopus Island, which is when we spend a worker, we gain a apple, which is very, very good for us. And for this one, spend a worker, you gain a wood. And we get the building bonuses straight away. So we get a fish and a gold and a sheep and a rock straight away. So because now we've conquered them, they just go into basically our little space here. We have access to them now constantly, and we gain the resources. So we got our resources, these come into play, get them over there, ships come back, the axes basically go into the pile used now, and that is the board as it looks like at the end of the first round. So let's get into the second one. So at the end of the round, everything resets. Anything we didn't explore or pillage or conquer, then it goes away, and we draw some new cards out. We bring all our workers back. We bring all these back. Basically, you can use them again. These get put back as well, but whatever one that they were on in solo mode flips over and becomes more expensive to use. So we were sailing with both of them, and so sailing suddenly becomes more expensive. Basically now to sail, we need to spend a fish as well as putting a token on there. So fish suddenly become a much needed resource for us. But that's it. That's the end of round refresh. This buried pantry is now available again also. And we draw 4 new cards for the lookout phase. So, lookout phase, we have another guardhouse. Not needed. You only need 1. We have a small port, which is spend a worker and a fish to sail. So that might be useful. I am unsure. We'll think about that one. White Keep is each time you activate a conquered island, you may resolve the effect twice. That is very useful right there. And then Storm feature. Every time you sail, you may spend 1 worker to move your thing up the expedition board queue. Solo, that doesn't matter at all. We're the only ones exploring. We have 5 workers. But we could spend a worker here, worker there, spend a worker there. That's 3 workers to spend. So, maybe. We'll keep these 2. That's what we'll do. We'll keep these 2. So, because of that, we move 2 workers to the spent worker pile. And we can populate at any time as well to gain ourselves more fresh worker, which will give us 6 workers, which we might want depending on how we are doing here. But remember, we have to feed them at the end of the game, and if we don't feed them, whoever we don't feed dies basically, and so we lose a victory point for that. So we need to shoot up on the victory points, which I'm hoping to, regardless of the people left in the population, or we can basically try and feed the population. So let's try and be a bit kind, I suppose. Let's try and feed people. So it's time to start what I love about this game, and that's chaining cards. The first thing I'm going to do is construct. And so what that basically means is this gets placed in to here, into basically our village. Place one token on the construct. To do so, and then, because of this here, each time you activate a conquered island, you may revolve the effect twice. I am going to use this one right here. So that is spend a worker to gain an opal. So we'll spend 2 workers. And we will gain ourselves 2 apples because of that effect. I can then use an apple, a fish, and a stone to gain 4 victory points, which will of course then trigger off the offering, which will gain us 7 victory points. So that puts us on 15, which means that during round 2 we are halfway to our objective. I'm then going to spend a worker to gain ourselves a pillage token, basically, one of the axes. So we'll spend that worker there. I'm then going to use another construct action to bring the Priest of Thor into our little deck. So use another construct with that one. So I'm then going to spend an apple, and I'm going to flip one of those to the populate sign. That gives me a worker to have here, and I'm going to use the worker on this to spend it to gain me a wood. So what we're going to do then is we're going to build the small port, and that's just going to go there. That is going to cost a wood and a gold coin. I then think I'm going to use that gold coin right there to flip that over as an apple onto the populate. Which gets us another worker. I'm then going to activate the small port by spending a worker and a fish to sail. So just put my boat on there, and I'll use one of the conquer things so as I can conquer one of the closest islands. And that is basically me done. So that is round 2 finished. In terms of the island I want to conquer, I think I want the one that gives me access to stone, which is this one. So I get a fish, I get a stone, and whenever I spend a worker I gain a stone, which I could use twice to gain 2 stone, which could be very useful, but that's the one we're going to have, and so that'll just go into here. Sail then flips back over to normal because we haven't used it. If one of our tokens was still left on sail, then it would stay golden, but populate is then going to go golden next round. So let's set it up ready for next round. So we're in turn 3, and yes, I did forget to do a scenario effect for last round, so we're going to handicap ourselves. We're going to do 2 for this round, and we have drawn the Runar Smokehouse, the Watchtower, the Valkyrie, and the Party Ship. Don't think I want any of them, except for maybe Runar Smokehouse. That could be useful since we have a sheep. But other than that, I don't think we want any because we don't really need to be pillaging straight away. We want to conquer lands more so than anything else. So I'm just going to have Runar Smokehouse, and that is my hand of cards, the Watchtower and Runar Smokehouse. So yeah, spend one worker. We've got a lot of workers that we can spend this round. I've just drawn for my hand number 1 and number 3. And we have Frostbite, so we need to spend a worker. So unfortunately we lose a worker. And number 3 is exhaust 1 field location, unexhaust it during the cleanup phase. Now the field locations are the ones with this little symbol on. And I don't think I'm going to be using the guardhouse at all, so we will exhaust the guardhouse there, as well as spending one worker. So we've got 5 to play with. So the plan is to spend 2 workers here to gain myself 2 apples and exhaust that card right there. And then I'm going to spend a worker to gain myself a stone right there as well. So that's 3 workers spent. But of course I have gained some nice resources. I'm going to spend a worker with a hunting trophies to gain myself a fish and a victory point. So victory point goes up to 16 and I gain myself a fish. That obviously gives me access to the buried pantry that we want to be using. So the stone, apple and fish, along with the offering tile, gains us 7 victory points. Putting us on to 23, so we are nearly there. But now I'm thinking we shouldn't have exhausted the guardhouse. Right. Yeah, so we'll backtrack on that one. we'll exhaust the apple orchid in case. So yeah, we've backtracked on that one. Solo game, you can cheat like that. And the reason I've done that is because I did want to conquer lands. We're on round 3, and so I could do with conquering more lands. Yeah, so I did want to harvest the resources of the guardhouse. I've just remembered. That's just me. It happens, doesn't it? So we use a harvest and then we gain the 2 axes. So I am, of course, then going to sail. So place 1 ship on there. So I know which one I'm going to conquer, but in terms of the rest, they're not really that good, I'll be honest. So what I might do is spend the axe on the Priest of Thor. And instead of the victory points, I'm going to grab me 2 of the gold tokens. I'm then going to spend an apple to flip the harvest one over to the sail marker. He's just going there to pillage because I think I want to pillage that one right there. I'm not that bothered about sailing next round, I will be honest. It's going to just be solely making sure I have got the food prepared. So we're going to be conquering and just sailing and pillaging. But I am going to build this right here, Runar's Smokehouse, using one of those basically as a stone to be able to build it. So we'll just place it there so as we can see it. I'm then going to spend the sheep and the worker, and I gain a victory point for every ship on there, so I gain 2 victory points. Which puts us on to 25. So that's it for round 3, we are complete. I am going to pillage this one, so I gain myself 2 stone and a victory point. And then I'm conquering this one, so I gain myself a gold coin, and obviously if I spend 1 worker I get a gold coin. So that just goes in there. So it's round 4, sail has flipped over. This is our last resources that we have. And we've got 4 islands, a lot of stuff. There's some juicy islands that we could pillage right there for some extra victory points. But this round is mainly about making sure we have enough food to feed 7 workers. That's one thing that we most definitely need to do. So let's get into the start. So basically we've got quick raid. During this sail you may immediately resolve a pillage or conquer, but you have to use a sail action to play, which I don't think we'll be using. We have offering again, not that useful. Floki's workshop is instantly gain a ship. Again, at this point of the game, not useful. That would have been great first or second round. And then we have a loading dock, which is each time we sail, gain 1 sheep. In all honesty, they're useless. So we are not having any of them. That means that we have 7 workers to basically spread out across our land and do some useful things. So first things first, I'm going to use hunting trophies, which is spend a worker to gain a fish and a victory point. So gain my fish there. Then we get put on 27 victory points. I just remembered I forgot to draw from the tokens. I've drawn a 5, so that is Cold Nights. Spend 1 sheep or exhaust 1 field location. And exhaust it during the cleanup phase. Okay, so I've got to be careful with this now. I think I'm going to exhaust the spruce forest, because I might need the sheep and I might need the fish and I might need the apples, potentially the guardhouse as well. Oh, there's some things to think about there. So down here I'm going to use the white keep and I'm going to spend 2 workers to gain 2 apples. I'm going to use the buried pantry, so may as well spend all 3 resources to gain 4, and then obviously it does the offering as well, so we gain ourselves 7 victory points right there. So that puts us on 34, which means we definitely won the game. Let's see how many points we can actually get. I'm going to use a worker down here to gain myself a wood. I'm then going to use another worker here to gain myself a coin. So that's them right there. I'm then going to spend the wood to build the watchtower, and that is gain 1 victory point for each of your conquered islands. We have 4 of them, so that's another 4 victory points, putting us up to 38. I'm then going to harvest the guardhouse and also the apple orchid. To gain me these, I'm then going to spend 1 of these on the Priest of Thor to gain me 2 tokens, because we're not exactly useful for the victory points at this stage. And with that, I think we're done. Yeah, I think we've got 38 points already. So we've already got past the threshold. We will count the points up in a minute, extra ones that we get, but I think that's us. So let's start counting everything for the end of the game. So for scoring, we need to be able to spend enough food, which is apples and fish, for each of our workers. We have 7 workers, 2 apples, and we also got 5 of the coins. So that means we've got 7. So, because the coins can be anything, they can be fish or apples, regardless anything. So we've done it. We have fed all our workers, because you just use the coins to go and buy whatever you need. So we are on 38. Now for every building that we have and for every island, we also get a point. So we got 40, 2, 6, 9, 53. So we got 53 points in total with the Vikings. We needed 30 points, and a lot of people say if you wish to do it on medium, it's 40 points, hard is 50 points, and expert is 60 points. So we were close to getting the expert level score. Very, very close, but we've completed it on hard. I love this game. And yes, I made a couple of mistakes, but I corrected them during this playthrough. That'll obviously just get put down to filming, because, you know, when you're on camera you make mistakes. Just happens. Hopefully you've enjoyed this playthrough and you can see what I see in this game, and that is the engine building aspect and resource management and spending. I love it. Absolutely adore this. And I'll be bringing more games of this to the channel very soon for solo. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And I'll see you again soon, hopefully.